All right, welcome back to Nate's Stakes channel, everybody. I got a great special guest, X-Ray Vision here.
Hey, kids.
The man, the myth, the legend. Back to Nate's Stakes channel, everybody. I got a great special guest, X-Ray Vision here.
Let me change this real quick. Sorry, got some echo. There we go. I turned it off.
All right, it's all good. It's all good. It's what it's about. I'm really bad at this, so I'm going to try saying what's up to the chat because I've been working on that. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the support. This is really fun. We're going to get into some cool topics, clear some air on Texan Token. I have questions for him. I just want to pick X-Ray's mind. If you didn't watch, go watch on his channel after this. His breakdown 3 weeks ago with Rags and David Feder on there is really interesting. But first off, how are you? And talk to me. What's going on? What's on your mind?
I'm doing really good. We've been trying to do like a little bit of traveling and just hanging out. I've been binging my fellow Hexicans. Like I've been binging Rags and Terrich's streams. I've been binging Crypto Coffee, Crypto Graphics, Crypto Sloth. I literally wake up in the morning and just put on my headphones and start just devouring all of their content. K4K, they bring so much thought and research to the table. It's like this high level college class always going on in crypto, and I think it's all like it really goes back to RH. You know, RH was the only one dropping knowledge and his expertise when it comes to crypto and all sorts of other stuff in life too. But yeah, we would just sit there and listen to him for hours a day, waiting for Hex to come out for 2 years.
Yeah, so, man, what an experience too, right? Do you see any similarities as far as like the waiting period that you had and the feelings you had for Hex now transitioning into Pulse Chain and then all the other, great products like Texan Token and stuff that's coming out?
Well, yeah, actually it's kind of like the feeling's the same because we waited for 2 years for Hex to come out. Like Richard Hart said, hey, this ought to take about 6 months. And so we got all excited. And then 2 years later, we were like desperately like, shut up and take my money. And that's why we all FOMO'd in. Well, I shouldn't say we all, but most of us FOMO'd into day one, got a horrible price day one. I think it was like a third of a penny or half a penny, somewhere in that range. We all just FOMO'd in day one because we were so excited to get into the project. And then we watched it just fall off a cliff. That was our first like 98% drop or whatever. It was like day 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we were still super excited. We were still figuring out the adoption amplifier because you used to have to put ETH into the adoption amplifier to get your Hex every day. And we just started DCing in as much as we could in those first few months, and looking back, it's like, it's insane the prices that we were getting, especially on day 43 when a t-shirt costs 60 to 67 cents.
Oh my God. I don't even think that sounds like alternate universe to me. That's nuts. I think like, man, when I got into Hex at the end of 2020 in November, I think the t-shirt was already like way up there. It was already like 18,000 Hex or something like that. Something ramped up at that point. But man, that's crazy. What an experience. So that kind of that's a good point you made though. Like you said that like those prices that you would never obviously really see again once they dipped. Like I think that there's something to be said about that, and that really helps separate individuals who feel like they really know what they have, what they're investing in, where they're putting their money, because you guys believed, you guys saw the long-term vision. Whether you had not like didn't understand the t-shirt rate as much, or I'm not sure if everyone did at that time. I think that presents this opportunities that Texan Token is going to give us the same kind of idea. I see a lot of upside for this, and I would like you to highlight some of those big differences between Hex and Texan, if you might.
Yeah, definitely. And before I get into that, Brissology says the problem with 60-cent t-shirts at the time, no one really understood the t-shirt. It was too new, right? And that's true because I didn't really understand a t-shirt till we were like 9 months into Hex going. Like wow. I knew that the earlier you locked and the longer you locked, the more interest you got. we didn't understand the mechanics of it and how it actually worked.
I see. So
So
yeah, as it was dwindling up, I see. You guys, so was it like more or less the rate that the T-share was going up that people didn't realize how fast it would start compound like going up?
I think that's part of it. But like I said, until we watched Kyle's video, there's a video of Kyle sitting in his car explaining what the T-share is and how it works. And once we finally wrapped our head around that, it was like, oh, cow, that's crazy. And then that was around the same time that, RG3 and Discourse Syndicate, they were all talking about unstaking and restaking because of the big payday bonus. So we had all these crazy stakes set out every week, every day, just shotgunning stakes all over the place, trying to figure out when we wanted to take profit. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you guys are going to want to unstake everything and restake it for at least 10 to 15 years because this big payday bonus is going to blow everything out of the water. And so a lot of us went back, unstaked, emergency unstaked what we could, and just started punting it as far as we could into the future. And that's when because then we saw the T-shirts piling up and understood how valuable those were going to be in the future.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's a valuable lesson, right? That I feel like I'm trying to take from you guys that have been in this for a while, and apply this to Texan, because I feel like there could be a similar situation as far as your ability to scrape better if you do, like you said, the which we'll break down more in looking at those charts that you sent over. The 10 stakes at 22 years each with varying amounts, and using that strategy. Is that something you still feel strongly about?
Yeah, I think it gives a flexibility to the Texan token that we wish that we had with our hex stakes. Part of what makes a hex stake so valuable is that it isn't flexible. It's locked in code. You're going to pay those penalties, right? And that's what it's a truth engine. And this is a truth engine as well in a lot of the same ways, but it's just got some different rules to the game, so to speak.
All right, yeah.
So we can get into that. I skipped your first question, which was the differences in this, and maybe this is just me personally getting my feelings hurt or being immature, but I reached out to a lot of people during the donation phase, and I wanted to find a pool that we could throw our money into for Texan token and try to take that number one spot, and get the highest return on our points. And some of the people were excited about it, but a lot of people that I thought would be into it were saying, no, it looks too much like a hex clone. And I kind of get triggered when I hear hex clone, because the stuff that was called a hex clone in the past was pretty much scammy garbage, right? It's stuff that failed. It's stuff that took our money. Back in the day, there was a thing called HXY that we thought was going to be built on top of hex that was going to make us all this money. Yeah, they took all our money. Like, they took a lot of our hex in the beginning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so I understand why a lot of people are very defensive of their hex. I definitely am defensive of mine. But I think that if you were to call Texan token a clone, it's that you haven't done enough research. Just like when people call hex a scam, they haven't done enough research. They don't understand what a T-share is. They don't understand how the contract works. They believe a lot of half-truths. And so I think that if anyone digs into the differences between Texan token and hex token, they probably wouldn't use the word clone. They might use the word complement. They might use the word inspired by, definitely inspired by hex, but definitely not a clone. And so let me go through just a few of those.
Yes.
I got them here on my phone, but one of the main differences I see between hex and Texan is hex is modeled after the CD product at the bank, and Texan is modeled after an endowment foundation, like you'll see in organizations out there in the world, like universities and charities that use foundations and endowments. So there's really two different actual skeletons to the structure of how this is supposed to benefit the people running the endowment, and then you have a totally different way of benefiting you running your own bank CD or certificate of deposit, right, with Hex. And we can get in, like, obviously this doesn't apply to Hedron and Ecosa and Maxi and all the other crazy stuff going on, because that's a whole nother layer. I'm just talking about just straight staking Hex and staking Texan. So the biggest difference I see is that one set up with a completely different model than the other, being the bank CD and the foundation. The other thing that's a big difference is RH, right? So Richard Hart is I think a huge benefit to Hex, and Texan Token doesn't have an RH. You know, they got two really cool dudes. They got Rags to Riches. They got Crypto Heartbeat. They got some really cool dudes in their chat. Like I see David Lee and Grumpy Coder in there all the time answering questions. Immutables in there. So they've got a great team, but you know, they don't have the Tom Brady of crypto like Hex does, right?
Yeah,
like RH is just, he's the GOAT. Yeah. So that's totally different when you have someone like RH leading a program. The other difference is the penalties. So if I emergency end stake my Hex stake, then those penalties are going to be given to the other stakers and to the OA address. In Texan Token, you're going to have all of the fees are going to be burnt forever. So that's a pretty big difference. The other difference involving the supply is that Hex is going to inflate up to 3.69% a year, and the Texan Token doesn't inflate. In fact, if a lot of people pay the EES fees, then it's going to deflate. Okay. So we already know the total number of Texan tokens that are going to exist on launch, and that is 100 trillion. And 3% of those will be circulating supply at the beginning before lock, right? Okay. And in Hex, we've got about 7% that are circulating outside of the OA by the best guesses, right? So the circulating supply is different. The fixed supply is different. So these are huge differences when it comes to crypto. These aren't like little, like a period at the end of the sentence or an exclamation point. This is like changes the game theory of both of them, I believe.
Red, blue, pill. Yeah.
And then going back to the supply, you've got the OA, which has been benevolently helping the price of Hex and helping the stakers of Hex. Mm-hmm. And then in Texan Token, you have this contract address that's like a treasury that holds 97%.
Nice. That's a unique feature. That's
pretty unique.
Yeah. And is it there's solid years for stakes too, right? It's only like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, up to 22 years. They're not like days, or do you get to choose days?
You know, I actually don't know if you get to choose days. I just know that the maximum stake length in Hex is 15.2 years, mm-hmm. and the maximum stake length in Texan is 22 years. Okay. So that's also a difference in that. And then, of course, the scraping mechanism is totally different in Texan, which we'll get into that whole thing in a little bit. But basically, if I have Hex and I stake Hex, if I want to realize my interest, some or all of my interest, I've got to make it past the 50% mark. Mm-hmm. And if I have the big payday bonus, I'm going to make almost all of my interest the last 24 hours of my stake.
Okay.
So I've been watching some of my stakes, and the penalty is enormous on the big payday stakes until the last 24 hours of that stake. It still takes some insane penalty from you if you're part of the big payday bonus. Right.
So what does that make you think then, as someone that would be I'm picking your brain in the sense of like, okay, so the people that do have that big payday bonus, what does that incentivize, and does it like alter your thought process now?
Yeah, it makes you really weigh the cost of that penalty, right? Because you'll see some people emergency end stake 2 days before their stake's up, right?
That's crazy.
And you'll see all these people on Twitter being like, dude, you could have waited 2 days. And some of these are the big payday bonuses. So they're forfeiting 50 to 25% of their interest on that last day. And so these people, either they're desperate and they need the money, or they think that the price of Hex is going to fall 25% in the next 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only way you could justify taking it early. But then again, I mean, we've seen 50-cent hex, right? And so there's a lot of people that probably would have pulled the trigger and paid the penalty at 50 cents, and they'd be ahead right now with some dry powder, especially when there's a sacrifice phase every day for a new coin, right? Like
left and right. Oh
everyone's just running out of powder, just sacrificing for everything right now. And so, yeah, there it really is a lot of game theory of being like, is it worth the cost to emergency end stake, do this, do that, right? Let's see here. There's no good accounting function for Hexen.
Okay.
So that's a big difference. There's no adoption amplifier with Texan. So we went through a year of that. There's no free claim for Bitcoin holders in Texan.
It's another key.
RH went out of his way to really like give these guys an olive branch and say, hey, let me help you get into the next wave, the next evolution of crypto. And not many of them took it.
That's so crazy to me. Even if it's crazy to me. It's nuts. He threw a lifeline. And he's like, I'll save you guys too. And it's really nuts. I think that's why the community and everyone goes so crazy, because the haters, they're just so like, he did so much for these people, and it's like just crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, all these are really big differences. Let me see. I'm going down Rags to Riches list, by the way, because he had a lot more detail in his, and mine were just kind of like bigger things. Let me jump over to my list real quick and see what I missed here. There we go. So here's a big difference between Hex and Token. Texan. Hex exists and Texan doesn't. Like, think about that for a second. Like, Hex is running, it's a viable product, it's doing great. Texan is set to launch on Pulse Chain. So not only does Hex exist and Texan doesn't, you're going to get a copy of your Hex tokens. You're not going to get a copy of your Texan tokens. Right. That's a really big difference right there.
Yeah.
In game theory. I covered that one. Oh, this is a huge difference. Hex has a huge, engaged, crazy, passionate community in crypto. Right. Like we're up there with all the other. I dare you to put any other community against Hex, and they might come close. A couple of them. Yeah. But we got a very, very well informed community. I think we're some of the smartest people in crypto because we've been listening to RH and each other for the last few years, and that makes a big difference in the learning curve, right?
100%. So, yeah.
The Texan community has somewhere between 300 and 400,000 people, I believe, that are actively contributing to the Texas national movement.
Okay.
But most of them don't know anything about crypto. So that's a big difference. You got a highly, highly educated community in Hex, and then you got a community that still needs to go over that learning curve. So if people want the Texan token to flourish and do well, they're going to have to go in and spend some time educating the Texan community. Yeah, Samantha Kelly says it's about 435,000 contributing members or people that are actively giving money to this cause.
Okay.
So
yeah, I see. Okay.
And that's a huge difference between the two projects, I think.
Okay. Yeah, for me, that was actually bullish for me in the sense that it's a bunch of fresh new individuals getting put into a proper ecosystem that's directly benefiting their state, you know what I mean? And that transitions throughout the community and beyond the state. So it's bullish to me in a sense that it is the educated Hexicans that are the founders in creating this, giving the ability to Texas and Texans and people that are in the TNM movement to provide that abundance and opportunity and ability to educate and learn. So you're right, though. It is a drastic difference because this is truly a ground floor up product that, like you said, doesn't even exist yet. So lots of work to do and education to spread about it.
Well, and we don't know the day that Pulse is going to launch. We also don't know the day the Texan's going to launch. Right. So that's another thing. If you're gonna invest or donate to this movement and hope for the points, you got to say, okay, how much money can I do without indefinitely? Because you really it really could be 2 years before we get Pulse Chain. Like honestly, I hope it's not, obviously, but I'm prepared to wait as long as it takes for the pulse chain, right? And
Yeah.
that's the same way it is when you look at, if you're looking at donating to the Texan coin, think about, okay, how long, if this is money that I want back in a year or two, I probably shouldn't put it in there or have access to, right? And then also David Lee in the comments has clarified, so you pick a year, not a day for your Texan stake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you'd be picking a year for your Texan stake, not an individual day like you do with Hex.
And that's a big difference too. And then that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then T-shares. Texan Token doesn't have T-shares, which is a brilliant mechanic of the Hex contract. So I'm sure there are a lot of other differences, probably just as significant differences that I haven't thought about. But those are just some of the ones I wanted to lay out there. And in fact, we can probably send my list and Rag's list to the Telegram chat, and they can probably put an actual better looking official post of some of the differences between Hex and Texan. And obviously, Heartbeat has said before, Texan was inspired when he saw the donation to the Sens Foundation. So they saw $25 million raised, or sorry, $27 million raised.
I believe you.
It was a lot of money. A lot of money was sent to the Sens Foundation, and it kind of blew their mind. They're like, wow, so you can actually support a good cause and launch a token at the same time that goes hand in hand with that community. And that's when the light bulb went off in Rags and Heartbeat's head. They said, there's all these huge communities of no coiners out there that have no idea that this blockchain thing is going on, that you can get paid interest, you can be your own bank, like really be your own bank. And if we go to these communities and we help them financially, we can bring them into the Richard Heart ecosystem, which is like, that's a really great marketing campaign, I think.
Yeah. It saves people too. It saves the hassle of dealing with the actual scams and the untrusted founders who just rug and run and like blatantly do it in people's faces and legally get away with it. It's really disgusting. It's wild, but I think this is important. Yeah, Texan it's bigger than I think. I think long term, these things have a bigger impact, especially, we make this succeed as a community and continue to educate. This thing is a really powerful tool, like you said, like that light bulb flipped, and it takes that thing. It takes that light bulb for people to realize also the situation that they're in as far as their money, because a lot of people still have a hard time understanding how bad they've devalued the dollar. And they figure, I have this much set away. But when you really sit down with people, explain things and show, the charts, the Fed printing and all that stuff, and it really starts to open people up. And this is an amazing tool to do so. So I think that you're hitting some valid points that have to be addressed, and you have to be willing to sit through the no expectation aspect too. People have a hard time with that, and not overbid or over, step on your own toes, because that happens. I see people complain about it all the time, but you have to be way smarter than that. And it's like, manage your assets, take calculated risks, not unnecessary risks. So that's just the way I like to do it. I mean, I feel like you still have to take risks in life, but you don't need to be losing your house or ridiculous things,
Right. It's kind of like if someone said that like the Risk board game is a clone of Monopoly. It'd be like, I mean, they're both board games, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in Hex, your 15-year stake is your boardwalk, right? It's your what's the other one that everyone wants at the end?
At the end,
it's like Atlantic, whatever it is. Like they got the two really expensive, valuable ones on Monopoly, and those are your 15-year stakes, right? Yes. And all you got to do is wait for people to go around the board enough, and you're gonna take all their money.
Yeah.
The patient get paid from the impatient, right? But then you got like something like Risk, and you got to figure out, okay, well, what year am I going to scrape? What year am I going to turn in these cards for more troops?
Yeah.
Right? They're totally different.
Yeah. As time goes on, as mass adoption continues to grow, right, as the crypto market in general grows too, I believe you're going to want to set yourself up, because more stability will be eventually brought into the market over time. So therefore, the cycles will be getting chopped down. And so we don't know when that's going to be, right? We don't have a crystal ball to say, okay, next cycle for sure, it's going to stop. It's going to bring all this into like, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the world. We don't know. But this is just a great tool that you can use on top of Hex, a totally opposite to gain more yield during these troubling times in this transition in this world. So yeah, it's crazy. It's fascinating. It's amazing. It's incredible that we have this right in front of us. It's like it's funny when people would try to call it a clone. It's like, do you only have one burger place? Richard Hart talks about this stuff all the time. Do you only have one cell phone company? Do you only have one car company? Like, come on, don't be ridiculous. Like, there's not one bed. There's not one type of each people itself. Like we're a print of something different every time. We're our parents, and we take half. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting that people have that weird like maxi mindset in a sense that, obviously Hex is the Rolls Royce. It's the number one. It will be, it set the standard way beyond Bitcoins. And what they did, they're like the blockbuster. Hex is the new sexy Netflix, and we're getting all these real actual financial tools in our hands. It's amazing to see. So I back you up on that. I definitely believe that they are very different, and you pointed out some solid facts.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Hopefully we can get that together and share that among the community so they can like take a good look at not just Texan and Hex, but there's so many other projects coming out right now that people are trying to, they're trying to review them. They're trying to scrutinize them, see what makes them tick. Are they held up to the same standard? Because I mean, Hex set the bar so high with, finished code, audited code, locked code, immutable code. You get to keep your keys. You have custody of your keys, and even in the contract, right? Like there were so many things that are really set it apart from the 13,000 plus other coins out there right now. And most of those 13,000s are copies of copies.
I see. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, like nobody sat down and wrote 13,000 like different sets of code.
Right.
Right. They just copied a copy of a copy of a copy, spent 15 to 30 grand on marketers. And now they're like, oh, I'm going to get the Ghost Pickle token or whatever it is.
Yeah. You see that. You see that all over. You see that with the NFTs. They did the same play. They set it up. They build the Discord. They hired the management team to run it. Interesting.
They've got some really sexy marketing and commercials. Like you see their logos and the team and people, like cool people mentioning them, and you're like, oh wow, what is this? Why haven't I heard of it? And then you dig into like the white paper or the code or the roadmap, and you're like, oh, this is just something I saw 10 years ago as an altcoin. Like one of the first altcoin was doing the exact same thing, but no one was around 10 years ago or 8 years ago or 9 years ago.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they just put in a new dress on a mannequin and and they're like, hey, you want to date my girlfriend? That's basically all these coins, just mannequins with different dresses pretending to be like hot dates.
I love that. That's funny. Yeah, they're just pulling different ones out the car. I'm like, okay.
Right. Like they won't let them get out of the car. You've got to like make your choice with the mannequin in the back of the car.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's a big magic show for the most part. And then once you get through the fog and you find the real stuff, the real community, it really smacks you and hits you. And it also makes you sit and realize, like, whoa. What was I? You also it's a lot. It's a complicated thing, right? You have to have the right mindset. Some people, if you're just trying to get rich quick, it's not going to work because that's not what Hex is incentivized for you to do. The principles, you have to be okay with the principles. Some people like living and gambling and being on the edge, and so maybe it's not the right fit for them. But Texan Token on hand gives you the ability to scrape then. So the more riskier people can make that play.
Right. Well, and this is when the light bulb went off in my head. Hex is for delayed gratification, straight up. It's the marshmallow test with money.
Yes.
If you can like not eat that marshmallow, then you get more marshmallows, right? And I had been around this is like my third cycle in crypto that I watched. And for some reason, because I was so excited about Hex and so into like that crazy moon launch that we had, I didn't see the crash coming. Well, I mean, I guess I saw the crypto market crash coming. It's RH called it. But for some reason, I thought, well, Hex is uncorrelated. Hex is just going to stay at 50 cents or a dollar while everything else just burns in rubble. And, I didn't even think for a second that we were going to go from 50 cents down to 3, even though like it's definitely a possibility. And RH tells us all the time, hey, this stuff, it goes up and down 97% sometimes in one day. Right. So that was a huge like lesson for me. Like, oh man, like I haven't even been playing the 4-year cycle when it comes to me taking profit and me, DCAing in.
I see.
And so when I heard about the scraping mechanism for Texan, I thought, oh, this could save a lot of people a lot of trouble. Because let's say, for instance, that you had your stake set up every 2 or 3 years, but they were coming out right after the market crashed every time, right?
Yeah.
Like
you're
you're gonna get a ton of tokens, but you're gonna have to hold them liquid for the next cycle. I call it spikle. It's really clever, by the way, because it's a spike and a cycle at the same time. So you wait for the next spikle, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you gotta like, well, when do you know is the top? You don't know when the top is. So then you gotta say, well, I'll sell 10% on every double.
Okay.
Or whatever it is. You gotta play all these games with yourself if you don't have a stake coming out the day that the market's on fire. Right? And so I looked at this staking strategy, the scraping strategy with Texan, and I thought, dude, you could just scrape on the good years.
Okay, that's smart. So okay, I see you. So not even okay, yeah, market have a downturn. You got something, you're like, all right, whatever. Maybe I don't scrape. Maybe I just let it go then.
Mm-hmm.
Or interesting.
Because think about it, like I said earlier, let's say that you're one of the brilliant people that realized that 50 cents was like a really high top for Hex. And you wanted to kill your golden goose. You hit the emergency end stake button, you take your money, and in US dollar terms, you're killing it. And of course, you make a beautiful donation to the OA and the other stakers and your penalty, right? That's great. But what if you didn't have to kill the golden goose? What if you just knew, hey, this is like a really good time. I could take a little bit of profit and cover my bills for the next 4 or 5 years just on a little bit of profit.
Yeah.
If you could do that and just let the goose continue to start laying golden eggs again, then that gives you that flexibility. So to me, Hex and Texan really complement each other to where you can set up different staking strategies. You can always have the opportunity to restake and buy in, and you can always have the opportunity to take profit.
Yeah, okay.
Depending on where the market's at, because this is a crazy market.
Yeah.
Like crypto is insane.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's a insane roller coaster, to say it lightly. It's pretty intense, and it does tug with your emotions and try to take it out of the situation.
Binging podcasts and YouTube in my ear at 2x every day, 20 hours a day, just becoming obsessed with this because it was my shot at freedom, right? This was the way for me to get out of the truck, and go see my family and
like big old semi trucker, like.
Yeah, dude, like the big heavy trucks with lots and lots of
that. Oh my
100-foot long truck.
Oh my God. Yeah, hats off to you. Like that is crazy. I know what that takes because I observed and I've met people, and it's a lot. It's a lot mentally, physically. You have a lot of responsibilities, and America wouldn't be America without truckers. So thank you for all that you did.
Oh, you're welcome. And honestly, I hated every second of it. I really did. But at the same time, there were 2 jobs that I knew were not going to go away. This is like 15 years ago. I figured this out because I was bouncing from job to job to job to job.
Sure.
Because everyone could tell I didn't want to be there, right? So all I wanted to do was be financially free since I was like 16. So I sat down and I realized that truck drivers are not going away, and computer coders are not going away. So I sat down and I decided, am I going to be a computer coder or a truck driver? And I hate school. I hate college. I was not a good student. I don't like sitting through classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I knew that even if I learned a coding language, I would have to learn a new coding language almost every year to stay relevant and get top dollar.
I see.
So I said, I'm just going to sit and watch the pavement go by. And that's what I did for a decade.
Yeah.
So I got my CDL and I just drove whatever paid the best, whether it was the oil fields, the gold mines, hauling fuel, which is, it's just a bomb on a truck. Those gas tankers. There's nothing safe about that.
Yeah. Oh, I've always wondered that stuff is gnarly too. Yeah.
Yeah. Samantha Kelly says her partner's a car hauler. That's good money, man. You gotta be high performance to do that.
Yeah.
To keep all those pretty cars from getting scratched and dented and picking them up and dropping them off.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to worry about, it's like one, driving it, and then A, your surroundings, and B, other people. It's just like ridiculous. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was it. I chose trucking and I just did whatever it took to get, well, eventually, Bitcoin was going to save me, right? I was going to hang on to Bitcoin till I had enough Bitcoin that my stack was worth $1 million. And then I was going to put it into real estate.
I see.
Real estate that's the only place the government does not just bend you over in taxes. Period.
Right.
It's the only place left with tax deductions. And right now, my wife and I are doing a lot of real estate because of the capital gains that I claim when I bring any crypto out into the real world.
I see.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it washes them off, essentially. It washes it out.
Yeah. And so when Richard Hart said, I'm going to have a coin that pays you interest for holding it, I lost my mind because I've been holding on to Bitcoin with my death grip.
Yeah.
For years. If Bitcoin had paid me the way it pays the miners, I would have retired 5 years earlier.
Jesus.
But
that's crazy. That slight change, that little difference in the tokenomics, and it just boom.
But Bitcoin gave me anxiety. Bitcoin gave me ulcers.
Oh,
because I got 5 kids, which is a lot.
Big family.
It's an irresponsible amount of children.
Fair enough.
I have a small basketball team in my house. And so trying to hang on to these sats, trying to hang on to this Bitcoin and hope that the transmission didn't go out on the minivan, or what if one of my kids breaks their arms, got to go to the ER? That wipes out all of my stack. There goes my Bitcoin. And I know that if I hang on to Bitcoin long enough, it'll be worth something. But you're fighting life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was nervous the whole time I was holding Bitcoin and stacking my sats because there was no payday in my future.
Sure. Right? Yeah. You had no idea when it was going to do what it was going to do, or wow.
And so, like I said, when Richard Hart said, "Hey, this is passive income," dude, my brain lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I can retire off Hex because I know that I can live within my means, and I can actually, even if you factor in the 97% drawdown, you know what that number is that you can live on. So once you get up high enough, you can just ride. You can ride the waves, take out hopefully as little during the bear market as possible, and then take some fatter stacks during the bull run. But that's what I learned from watching my Bitcoin go from 20 grand to 3 grand was, you got to always be putting money in at the bottom, and you always got to take a little bit out on the way up.
Got it. Yeah, I screwed myself, and I guess that's something I've been really hearing people preach that a lot. A lot of you, the OGs, people have been in for a while. I screwed myself in 2021. Essentially, I didn't take any profit. I got into all the mess, but I did make a chunk of change, and I didn't take any of it. And I essentially just put it back in the system and got wrecked and lost it. But that was that put me into a serious. I was depressed. I was hardcore depressed. I hated my life for a couple months, probably a month or two, and then I picked myself back up, told myself to stop feeling bad about myself, and yada yada yada. Ended up finding Hex, and then my life changes with all everything.
But there's something beautiful and valuable there in that pain, in that depression. Is there's that little nugget of information, right? And when you finally get over the suck, and you look back in hindsight, and you're like, okay, there's something real valuable here. And then, like you said, you see something like Hex or something else, that's when the light bulb goes off, and you're actually thankful for that crappy experience of seeing all your money on paper really high one day and then worth nothing the next day, and being like, oh.
Dude, for real, it's intense. And it's like it speaks more to like, what if, I wanted this too. I talked to Mitch Dominguez about this. Like I was like, how many people like, got into hex or whatever and really still don't understand it and just got really rich off of it and are dumping it. Like, there might not be a large percentage, but I'm sure there are people out there that, or they just held liquid hex the whole time, never staked it, made a bunch of money still, and still don't understand it. So like, it's very interesting. Yeah, like there were valuable lessons needed to have. I needed to feel that max pain, the gut wrenching feeling, and all those things of like, oh, like, because I have the same goals that most people do. Like, I want to support my family, I want to pay off my debts, and I just want to live a normal life, man. I want to be able to travel and just have fun and fucking jet ski. And I'm an outdoors person. I was born in Alaska, so I just love life. But when you're bogged down,
dude, I love jet skiing.
Oh, it's so fun.
Jet skiing's the best version of boating there is.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love it. I love that you can like get off and on, and like you can go off to like the shores and stuff, and it's so versatile, and it's like a boat mixed with a motorcycle.
Right. Now, were you in a more populated area of Alaska, or like clear out there?
Just Anchorage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I lived there till I was 9.5. I've moved to Vegas ever since. Been here ever since. Grew up here. Went to high school. All that good stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a hustler town, so it's a dog eat dog world out here, and it's a very interesting place. It's grown. It's really turned into a major like metropolis.
I actually love Vegas. I was married in Vegas. I don't live that far from you at all.
Oh yeah.
In fact, my wife and I eloped to Vegas when I was like really young, obviously. And then we just started making an army of kids. So like,
5, you got to start early.
I like the energy of Vegas. To me, like going down to the Bellagio and people watching in between, the fountains, dude, I could do that all night. I could just sit there all night and watch people from all around the world dressed. Dude, there's people dressed like in $1 million suits, and there's people shuffling through there in their pajamas like they're at Walmart. And it's just, to me, like I can spend so much time on the strip, people watching, and now you just sit there and there's clouds of marijuana smoke. So you don't even have to you don't have to drink or anything. You're buzzed and you're just sitting on the strip.
Yeah. It's just the air quality. It's the ambiance. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. And then you got crazy people just chasing each other, screaming about, you got Mickey's bike. I don't know. It's just, there's always something going on. It's like a crazy TV show.
Yeah. On the strip. It's literally Sin City 24/7 nonstop. I mean, have you ever been to like Fremont, downtown Fremont, Old Vegas?
Yep.
Oh man, you see men in diapers that look like angels, people rapping, people playing drums on like barrels from Home Depot. Like, oh my god,
it's the last Hex meetup. We went down to Fremont Street, so a lot of the pictures you see on Twitter are all the girls hanging out on Fremont Street.
Oh, sick.
And my brother got in a dance off with a homeless man. In front of one of the stages.
Yeah.
And he was holding his own. And I was really actually surprised the homeless guy could dance this well. But it was stuff like that. It just doesn't happen in many other places.
No, yeah. It's a reality check when I go other places and things aren't open, and or people are just, mentalities are different. So it's interesting for sure.
Well, and it feels like Vegas is coming back, because for a while Vegas was closing everything down at like 9 or 10. In fact, there was I had to catch a flight down to Mexico about a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. And I remember driving by the strip and it was empty during the day. There was one dude on a skywalk, and it felt like a movie set. It didn't feel real, because I've never ever seen the strip empty before in my life.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
These last couple of years have been really, it's starting to, like you said, it's starting to come back pretty heavy and starting to get really like picking momentum out. Like people that move here and stuff, I think it's funny. I got into a little argument with someone, like a bartender that's like, she's from Cali or whatever, and I've been here my whole life, and she's gonna sit here and try to tell me about Vegas. I thought it was funny, But she's like, "Oh, Vegas has been open." I'm like, "Dude, you don't understand. This is not Vegas open. Vegas is on the pedal, the gas on nonstop, 24/7. It is wild. It's wild. But we're getting back to that. It has a lot to do with our governor, blah blah blah, politics, and not really,
Yeah. So you're excited for dude Pulse? You were you not a Hexagon during the last conference, or you were just getting into it?
Essentially, just getting into it, and then I was like, I've been even like juggling this whole thing because I've been unhealthy, like DCAing into Hex and stuff. So I've been like really focused on accumulation because I see the potential in the future, and I still feel so early considering. I got in at like 60,000 stakers. Now we're at 100,000 stakers. So I have had a sense of urgency since November of last year, all the way up to this point.
Yeah.
To try to accumulate and build my staking ladder as good as I can.
And did you get on the SAC for Pulse and PulseX?
Just PulseX, not Pulse Chain.
Okay. So you're part of that wave of people that missed Pulse and were like, I'm going to sell a kidney for PulseX. I got to catch up.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. And I talked about that yesterday because I know a lot of people are going to be swapping on pre-bridge PulseX to Pulse Chain. And I don't think that's the move since so many people did miss out. I mean, I wouldn't know, but I think I'm going to speculate, try to get some liquid Hex so we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, Hex should be the one that has the most value, technically speaking, on Pulse Chain at launch. And then, due to it's going to be nuts. The first couple days, the first week, the couple months of watching everything go crazy is going to be intense. I'm also going to try to sit back for a little bit too. Because I know historically, you look at Hedron, it went boop, and then boop. And because people didn't believe in it, that didn't understand it, and that always happens for some reason. So
it also had that crazy supply shock. It was like, hey, here's a cajillion drillion coins, and everyone was like, oh, there's a lot of coins here. And so
Mm-hmm.
shout out to Alex, right?
Alex. He's a great founder too. The guy has maintained some crazy good composure, and during the initial craziness when people were really judgmental, and rightfully so. I get people have their guards up, and you should question everything. But hats out to Alex. That guy is a cool dude, man.
Yeah. Well, now the pendulum is going to swing the other way with Icosa.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, there's too much supply, and then it's going to go. I think it's going to go suck up a lot of that supply and burn a bunch. And
I do too.
Lock it up.
And that you can just sit there and add. So I'm so excited for PulseCon. I am going to make it out there this year. I'm going to try to, I'm making it happen, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I guess when you say out there, you mean across town.
Yeah. Work and stuff like that. And,
Yeah. What's
therapy? So you have to get you have to request time off and stuff in a certain time frame.
You do physical therapy?
Yeah.
Dude, I just jacked my knee up, the tendon in my knee.
Oh, okay.
And it
brutal.
Yeah. It sucks not being able to walk like you usually do.
Yeah.
You really take that for granted.
You go to I'll hook you up with I'll send you some exercises and stuff that you can do for yourself to at least maintain until. Have you gone and had it MRI'd or X-rayed?
No, I'm going to go to X-ray, but it's just to make sure nothing's out of place.
Yeah. I'll send you some cool stuff, just low functional exercises for you to just do around the house or something.
Nice. Yeah, I've been just icing the hell out of it and elevating it, trying to get it calmed down because like I was saying before, we're headed to Burning Man in 2 weeks.
I see.
And I got to dance, man. I got to get this knee up to dance level.
Yeah.
Before the Burning Man and then PulseCon.
Get over to the counter and start doing some mini squats or something.
Yeah.
That's that's funny. That's sick, man. Well, I'm excited. So you're making it out too. It's gonna be really big on this event. You've been to is this the second one essentially? So
this will basically be the third one.
Because
the first one was Matty Allen and Freedom TV put on the first one in Vegas, and then the second one was Matty Allen. That was in 369. March 6th through the 9th. And now PulseCon is going to be September 6th through the 9th. So 969, right? And that'll be like the third big meetup in Vegas.
I
basically,
see. Okay.
So yeah.
So threes, that's like a significance to me because you got 369. I'm a little not superstitious, but I believe in numbers, the powers of energy and numbers and stuff. So it's like the same thing with Hex, right? It's about to hit year 3 at the end of the year, and look, all this crazy, like, it's going viral pretty much, essentially, in my eyes, slowly but surely. Like the big names and the momentum that Richard Hart's finally getting and catching is incredible, and it needed all the other stuff that was talking shit about Hex and down on it to crash, like Celsius and Machinsky and all that stuff, to validate Richard Hart more. So it's just more time validates Hex in the whole entire ecosystem. Time will validate everything. So it's pretty. Yeah.
I was really surprised to see Celsius and Machinsky go down because they were up there with some pretty big institutional money. Right?
Yeah.
David Lee, thank you for the heads up. Warm up before I dance.
Yeah, did you see that?
Didn't know. Now I noticed you got some ink.
Yes.
When are you getting? Oh, you got sleeves. Holy cow, man!
Let me try to.
Wow. Oh yeah. That's a Japanese demon.
Yeah, this is
what are they called?
Hanya. Yep.
Hanya.
Yep. Hold on. Let me get this camera right.
Oh wow!
It's a cobra with a dagger through it.
Yeah,
it essentially winds down the sleeve and hooks around the daggers here, hooks around the horn, the broken horn on this end. It's a whole intricate,
Yeah, holy cow! Like to sit for that kind of work is next level Buddhist Zen mastery, dude.
Oh, dude, man. Some people are crazy because like they'll always be like, "Oh no, it didn't hurt." Like, bro, I always tell people, "Yeah, they suck." Like, I don't care what anyone says. For me, like, I embrace the pain. I meditate, like you said. You go full Buddhism, like.
You just try to go to another place.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, have you thought about getting a hex or pulse chain tattoo and where you might put that?
I've considered them. Yeah, I've talked about it. Location. No, not yet.
Yeah, because I got all my tats are from my brother-in-law.
Hell yeah.
He's a tattoo artist. We just went down and I just got some ink that I put on. I put this on Twitter right here. These two. I got the mandala right there.
Sick.
That thing really hurt.
Yeah.
And then I mix it with a wave too.
Nice. Oh, I love that.
But he does all the Japanese stuff.
That's ironic.
He's really deep into the Japanese stuff.
Look at this. Ironically, let's see if I can.
Yep, that's the wave.
I gotta get the.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful.
Shit,
I love that. That wave is everywhere, and that's sick with the Hex logo. Where'd you get that from?
I got it off Etsy.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link. It was only $22. It's badass.
Yeah. So he gave me this one right here. He's the one that did my actual text tattoo that was on the Hex website. Oh, that's
crazy. Hold that up. Let me make my screen bigger.
I don't know if he.
Oh, yeah,
he did this back in the day.
Yeah.
He said that the lines, the straight lines are the hardest thing to do on skin, especially around shoulder. So this is like the big one I got when I retired.
I love that.
So
yeah, that's probably my mark. Like, the moment that I can like retire, I'll probably end up getting I'll get it stamped on for life. You know what I mean?
You like a dollar sign right by both eyes.
Oh my god, it's just Hex and pulse. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the future if we see that from some younger generation. You see something like that.
Yeah. So shout out to Cade Bentley Tattoo, Black Gold Tattoo in Prescott, Arizona. He's pretty booked out because he does great work. But
hell yeah.
And I like your pulse. Both of us got pretty cool shirts on. You got the pulse chain shirt.
Yeah, this one blends into like colors at the bottom.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's another thing. So I've been like, I've been buying merch. I've been, trying to get in there and like just do my thing and support and show my love. Cause like, I'm like, whatever, like all the clothes I had before were like, I didn't update that's the last thing I worry about. to be honest.
I think every Hexican is a walking billboard. Like everyone I know wears Pulse Chain or Richard Hart or Hex shirts everywhere they go, like every day.
Yeah, I got it on my car too. Look at the stickers on the back of my car. Like, we're doing the work. We're trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
But hell, man, I don't want to eat too much more of your time. This was an incredible stream. I really appreciate all the value you were able to share with me. It was really special.
Well, I really appreciate how getting a chance to put some of my ideas in an organized form. Hopefully, I don't know. I might have just confused everyone, but the Texan Telegram has links to these charts. It has links to. I'm sure it's going to have a link to this show. And it's a great place to really get the lowdown, ask your questions, see how it works, and I'm really excited for launch of obviously Pulse Chain and of the Texan Token, because it'll be interesting to see what the 3% liquid does, like how much of it gets staked, how much of it gets scraped and restaked. Like, it'll be really interesting, because here's the deal, like, if you followed everything that the OA did from the very beginning, you would be a billionaire right now. You'd have so much money right now if you just followed what the OA did.
Okay.
Right. And so I would probably watch some of the whales in Texan and see what they do, because they probably have some stuff figured out. Like the OA had a lot of stuff figured out ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's good. That's a good message to finish off on, guys. I love that. Yeah, keep your eye on the OA. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I would love to, probably in the future, you know, I mean, who knows how long, we'll have another conversation. We'll circle back. Yeah, we'll go over more. And, you know, I'm geared up. I'm ready. Go to Texan.cc. Make sure you follow Hexway Vision, guys. It was an honor. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and get everyone subscribe to Nate Stakes. We got to get you up to 1,000 so you can get those super chats, man.
I appreciate you. Mad love. Thank you. Again, I'll see you guys around. All right. Peace.
Bye, guys.